How do we approach credit and collections, account receivables as a business, as a ministry discipline? I want to talk about three things: a framework to think through when it comes to the policy and protocol we're going to implement in our companies, but then evaluate with your team what's a risk-reward matrix of implications and considerations, and lastly, what are customer scenario-specific ministry opportunities that we could hone ideas around to proclaim the love and truth of Jesus in the context of this difficult side of every business. So when it comes to credit and collections, account receivables, the best defense is a strong offense. So hopefully we're going to construct policies and protocols that prevent these problems. But inevitably, there are going to be those difficult situations, and we want to think about how we triage those as well. When you're mapping out the process of how we're going to preemptively strike and then how we're going to deal with messy situations with our teams, you want to always run through the filter of how does this part of our business reflect our mission? How is this consistent with what our mission statement says? If you get a mission statement that's about relationships, honoring God, serving people, all these classic things in a business's ministry mission statement kind of ethos, well then that's got to be true both in the fun parts of business and in the mundane or difficult parts of business. And so how do we make sure that the way we prevent account receivables issues and the way we remediate them reinforces that? Second, you've got to ask, core values are only core values if they are always true. If these values are not just cultural in how we operate around the office, but in how we deal with customers, in the lens through which we make decisions, in the way we approach dealing with problems as well as opportunities. And so if we got values of things like accountability, truth, honesty, team, compassion, love, excellence, all these common virtues, then those values have to be what holds your policy together as well. And you got to go, how will a customer experience the core values in our execution of this policy? But it's also, how does this reinforce our core values to our team internally? It's easy as believers to sometimes let sloppy agape think that grace would mean we don't have accountability. But if you have values like integrity internally, but then you don't hold customers accountable, well then that's not integrity. So grace is not the excusing of expectations. It's going to inform how we go about those things. And then lastly, no matter what your mission statement says, no matter how cool and punchy your core values are, as followers of Jesus, there's the all things principle. What do I mean by all things? I mean that Jesus says things like in Colossians 3, let us do all things as unto Christ. That means how we do credit and collections. How to do credit and collections is unto Christ. We're going to do it excellent. We're going to do it with love and compassion. It's going to have high integrity. We know in Galatians 6, it says if you see someone struggling in sin, you confront them, but you confront them to restore them. It's not punitive and it's not destructive. We know that Romans 12 talks about approaching things with humility and trying to seek peace as far as it's possible for us. And so we want to realize that the way we approach account receivables, the way we do credit and collections, is a chance to live out the all things. Collections is part of customer service. Customer service is part of sales. And all parts of business are part of ministry when you're doing business as a ministry. When thinking through your credit collections policy with your team, you want to quickly do an assessment of the risk and reward matrix for your respective business and your type of customers. A way to simply think about that would be to illustrate along a 2x2. If you're thinking about the vertical axis representing relationships, and the horizontal really representing what's the financial outcome. And obviously we're looking for the win-win here, but in any given policy, any given transaction, any given approach, you're going to have to evaluate what's the best outcome we're looking for here. The winning spot is, hey, how do we do this in such a way that we build relationships, build goodwill, create return customers, and the company's made whole. We got a good financial outcome. That's winning. But there may be the scenario where it's not worth it or not feasible to get 110% of what's possible financially, but you want to preserve the relationship. You want the repeat customer. Maybe it's an enterprise sales deal and you're looking at the total long-term, lifetime value of that customer. So you may choose to do something that's got less financial optimization, but it's best for relationship preservation. There may also be the scenarios, maybe you've got an unrecoverable relationship, or it's a transactional based deal, or it's a consumer pass-through one-time visit kind of scenario where your best outcome is truly a 100% collections outcome, not as worried about the relationships. The worst scenario in the world is to do all this effort to result in a loss of relationship and outcome. No Christian witness, no mission, no values, no all things, and nothing to show for it. as a team, you want to proactively think through what's our risk reward target? What are we aiming for? What makes sense, both proactively as we design the protocol and then reactively as we're dealing with exceptional situations that need remediation? What's the relationship versus financial risk reward that we want to press into with our policies?